Street Smarts! What's your best street tips? Viewer edition. Story 1. I'm from India. One tip I always follow: while driving the car on the highway at night, I switch off my headlight. I use streetlights for vision. If there is no light on the road, do not travel even if the boss fires your butt. That way, people wait for any vehicle to rob can't see you from far and won't be able to move fast for the trap. Don't stop even if they come right in front of you. Just run them over. Don't stop if you have a flat tire. Just drive and stop at a location which is safer. Oh my God. Do not run wipers if you see something thrown at your car screen. Running wipers when there are things on the screen is the first instinct, and most carjackers use this to their advantage. They throw eggs at your car screen. The wiper will just spread it all over the screen, making it opaque and you're unable to see. Just drive with eggs, LOL. Never stop driving if someone comes from the sides and tells you that you hit them / something and you need to stop. Drive even faster. Let them call the police. Oh, we have fake police too doing this, so always be aware of this too. Check their shoes. Fake police usually don't wear uniform-issued shoes. If the situation feels like it's going to be physical, attack first and hard. Throw the best kick between the legs, fingers in the eyes, punch with keys sticking out, stone to the head, etc. You will be more sorry if you are a victim. Never travel while looking your best. Wear pale, ordinary clothing. It's noticeably dirty around the collar and cuffs it even better. Keep the wallet in deep side pockets rather than the hip pocket. Don't use a formal tone / voice in case you need to ask for directions. It makes you look educated. Equals posh / outsider equals target. Travel in groups if possible. Gents should sit towards the window and front seat, and ladies and kids in the back and in the middle or towards the right, because we drive on the left side of the road here. Someone who is watching and or comes up, throws something will be from the front or left. They usually pick out targets at rest stops or diners at the road. So while you are at such a stop, don't talk to anyone and keep an eye on who is watching you. If they are on the phone while watching you, 100% you will be in trouble. It's best that you guys drive right behind the truck or bus, or there are caravans in high-risk areas to go with. Don't travel solo. Okay, I don't know how much of India or how many places that this applies to, but I guess if you're traveling to a more dangerous part of a country or something, folks, this is apparently some stuff to keep in mind and is honestly kind of frightening to me. I'm very, very privileged to have never had to go through a place where I had to follow rules this extreme to get by, but yeah, it just goes to show, especially, if you live in a more dangerous area, this might be good information. And if you are traveling to a more dangerous area, do your research and take precautions, folks. Story 2. Former soldier, bouncer, and someone who grew up in a very bad place. These are the things I've used both professionally and personally. 1. Intimidation without saying a word. A. My size, 6'3", 235 pounds, is mostly muscle. This helps a lot. B. Skill and movement. I trained in martial arts for many years and am very fluid, quick, precise, and quiet in my movements. This can unnerve potential attackers because it's unusual for someone of my build. C. Deadpan expression. I generally don't show any emotions on my face in public. This is not the death stare I've seen people in the hood try to perfect. It's just a smooth-faced look that shows lack of caring about anything around me. It's indifference, not lack of awareness. D. Annoyance. I've shut down nonsense many times when someone was trying to hard-eye me by looking back at them slightly annoyed and sighing. Translation: I'm not afraid of them in the least. I'm more worried about getting their blood out of my clothes and any other fallout. E. Smiling. Many people have to rev themselves up for a fight. While they're doing that, I would just smile at them like they were about to give me something I'd been wanting badly for months. Think of a girl you want to sleep with who finally says yes kind of expression. 2. Situational awareness. Always know your ways out of wherever you are and keep them in mind. B. Trouble is rarely complete without warning. With practice and experience, you should be able to see it coming and be away when it kicks off. C. If you think you're in a dangerous place or situation, you probably are. Don't panic. Do your best to get out of it calmly without showing fear or that you know what's up. D. Casual scan. I regularly scan any place that I'm at every couple of minutes looking for anything of interest or potential danger. I'm completely relaxed when I do this. E. Figure out how many people you're up against before it kicks off. Use that to figure out your tactics. 3. Furball when all else fails. A. Accept that you're going to get hurt. This is not a movie. I make it my goal to inflict at least double the damage I receive from the attacker. B. Have training and muscle memory ahead of time. Understand both striking and grappling. C. Avoid going to the ground whenever possible. This avoids the temptation for the attacker's friends to put boots into you while you're down there. D. Stay in control of yourself and look for openings. E. It's generally a good rule not to kick above the waist in a street fight. Although I've broken that rule several times over the years. High kicks tend to be slow, easy to catch and block, and very telegraphed. Also, if there's loose gravel or something underground foot, you are more likely to end up on your butt. F. Chain attacks. Don't throw one punch at a time. Use combination striking. A series of different strikes coming in from different angles and ranges are more likely to get through and inflict damage. Good luck and stay safe. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of this advice sounds like I need to take many training courses and start working out more and maybe grow a couple inches. I feel like a lot of this is hinging on the fact that you're, 6'3" and muscular and a former bouncer and Marine and stuff. I don't know how much of this could possibly apply to me, but I will do my best because you've very much laid this out in a very organized way, and I appreciate that. And I'm sure someone can get something from at least some of the info that you gave us here, so thank you. Story 3. 1. I got that reference. 2. I found the look ahead but be alert and walk like you know where you are going work well as long as you also avoid being places at night. I brush off beggars with a soft, sorry I don't carry cash, true usually, and generally I have a not my circus, not my tigers attitude toward crime. Yes, I know the guys over there are dealing drugs. They rather politely offered me some last time I walked past them, but a quick, no thanks, shake of the head and proceed away like you have plans has thus far worked for me. For some background, I'm a very white woman in a very not white area. The crochet because murder is wrong hoodie usually gets me a smile. It has a picture of a cat on it. Also, don't wear headphones if you're walking in an unfamiliar or dangerous area. Keep aware of your damn surroundings. Story 4. Something I had to develop in a quick 5 minutes. If you ever get separated from your main party, in my case I got on a tram and the doors closed behind me without my family getting on, act like you weren't with them ever and never acknowledge the fact that you are now alone. You will become an easy target to pick off. When you get off the said tram or you have agreed with your party for a meetup point, don't look lost or look like you're waiting for someone. Either keep walking to a point where you know they can still easily find you or act occupied. In a rare situation, if anyone approaches you, don't run. They will most likely catch up or corner you, especially if you're not in a familiar environment. If any of them touch you in any form of aggression, bite them hard. The human bite is strong enough to break skin and also poison your attacker due to certain factors. They will be in a severe amount of pain that you will be able to get away. Story 5. Concerning the story at the 6-minute 54-second mark, I disagree with that one part. No one in the hood or any rough area walks around looking angry all the time, so you doing is a bad idea. It just makes it obvious you're trying too hard to look tough, which makes you look insecure and therefore a target. The key is to blend in as much as you can, so looking angry and making yourself look big makes you stand out, which is the exact opposite of what you want. Try and act normal, but in a way where you're clearly there for a reason. An easier way to put it is act like you've been there before, as in casual. Don't actually try and sell the idea that you've been there before if you haven't. I grew up in a rough downtown area, and no one walked around like they were angry or make themselves big all the time. You don't want to have the idea that you want people to not mess with you. Rather, you want people to have no reason to mess with you, if that makes sense. Everything else he said is correct, though. Don't look lost, even if you are, acting like you know where you're going, and keep your head up like you would in your own neighborhood. Just thought I'd clear up the looking angry part. I did kind of wonder about the going around looking angry, but I also wonder, how angry these people are saying, because I feel like there's some wiggle room between, someone walking around just You know, like that's a kind of like, oh, this is kind of a grumpy person that just doesn't want to be messed with. And then there's walking around looking like, like you're about to Hulk out. Like, I think there might be a more reasonable middle ground somewhere in there. But yeah, I would say just looking more like you belong. And yeah, I mean, I do like the idea of just walking around like. Story 6. Some things I picked up. 1. Everyone knows the don't accept drinks from strangers rule. The same goes for food and cigarettes. My friend got a smoke from some random girl at a bar, and she was throwing up in the bathroom within 10 to 15 minutes of eating. She didn't even touch her drink. We noticed the girl she got the smoke from when she was leaving with a guy who wasn't looking happy. My boyfriend carried my friend out. In general, we only get cigarettes from each other, and we always buy an extra pack before going out. 2. Always agree on a pickup time with someone. Have a code word to say A. Stay out later. B. Met someone. Get a picture if possible and send it to them. C. Early pickup. D. Catching a ride with someone, rideshare, friend, etc. 3. Men need to be on guard just as much as women. 4. Women can be as much of a threat as men. 5. It's never the victim's fault. Story 7. When traveling, it's safer to keep your stuff in front of you, like in a backpack. Also, take pictures of your belongings in your hotel room just in case something happens. P.S. As an Uber Eats driver, that delivered to the hood kids are a great way to see if you're in a safe area or not. Also, blending in and looking like you're there for a reason helps. P.S.S. I like to have the money I'm going to spend prepared before I pull out a wad of bills. Usually in the pocket opposite the one with the wad. That way I don't need to pull a lot of money out. Story 8. The advice about basically looking like you belong there is so true. I had to drop off a bottle of water for my employer while he's attending what is essentially a state commission. They were using a conference/hearing room for this with limited access during the course of the actual event. The person at the door was like, you can only drop it off if it has no label on the bottle. I was like, fine, whatever. Fast forward a few weeks and they forgot to walk with their water again. I showed up, put my phone on silent and texted them that I was at the door and just stood there like everyone else outside the door. A few minutes later, I got a text saying, sure, I'll be out shortly, and they came out and got their water with the labels still on them. Story 9. I was walking downtown with my girl when I realized we were being followed by some dude. I remembered I left my keys in my back pocket with the lanyard hanging out. Maybe he was trying to get that. My girl didn't notice this was happening, and I had to shake this guy off. As soon as we walked into an area around multiple people, I acted like something to my left caught my attention, and I just stood there. The guy behind us was then forced to keep walking in front of us so I got a good look at him, or else he'd look suspicious. Then we tailed him until we got to our destination. I do feel like a good piece of advice is always get to a more populated area, get amongst more people, and, just be aware of your surroundings. I feel like being aware of your surroundings is an important one. And these days, when most of us are walking around with like headphones on and earbuds and all that kind of stuff, that does get a little bit harder. And as another comment said, maybe don't have headphones. Or if you do, like, we're not sponsored, but I wear little open ear headphones just with real quiet music so I can still hear stuff going on around me. It's not a terrible idea. Bone conduction headphones. That's what you're going to search if you're going to ask. Story 10. When you feel like somebody is up to something minor like pickpocketing or street seller scam, approach them first. They never expect to work on somebody who's focused on them from the start and sets the tone of the interaction. Say hi, ask them for the time, for a cigarette, anything. The last thing a criminal wants is attention, so unless you can avoid them altogether, give them your attention until they have lost their plot or you've embarrassed them by staring down their crooked soul. Story 11. I lived in a neighborhood where everyone gets guard dogs and they don't actually train or socialize them and their dogs would get loose. If a dog is charging toward you and your dog, breaking up a dog fight can be very dangerous. Lots of people will at least teach their dog to sit, so command them to sit in a loud, confident voice. This has worked for me for some dogs. They don't obey it, but it takes them out of the moment of attacking the intruder and slows them down for a moment, breaking the tension to avoid a fight from starting. Story 12. Here goes one for you. I was walking home from the gas station at about 12 at night with my girlfriend at the time, early mid-20s. We were still in the parking lot leaving, and some dude came by and stopped in front of us in a Jeep. He leans out the window and says, "You guys free for a bit? If you help me burn this Jeep, I'll give you each an 8-ball. We both looked at each other and chuckled a little because we don't do drugs like that. And he says, "What about for $500 each? Help me burn this Jeep out in the desert and I'll give you each $500. We both politely declined and kept walking. Not sure where the advice is, but obviously if that ever happens, don't help burn the Jeep. Oh, we live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. You know, that same place they filmed Breaking Bad. And yep, just as dingy as the city seems." I would wear a shirt that just said, "Don't help burn the Jeep" on it. I don't wear a lot of shirts with kooky sayings and stuff on them, but I would absolutely wear that shirt. And if people ever asked me about it, I'd like, "Oh, what does that mean?" I'd be like, "I think it's pretty obvious. Don't help burn the Jeep." Story 13. If you're looking to dismiss a beggar or homeless person, then put on a neutral face, shake your head once, and wave with your hand facing forward in the other direction of your head, also once, while making eye contact briefly, then continue on. This usually makes the message clear, though if they continue hounding you, then keep walking and ignore them, but listen for any rushing footsteps. Note, please don't be rude. Understand that they are human and are likely dealing with many problems, self-inflicted or not. Story 14. The best tip or advice I can give you is this. A common thing victims of assaults, pickpockets, Rs, etc. say something like, "He just came out of nowhere." He did not. You were not paying attention. If you see a bad actor before he sees you, you've got the advantage. Look around as you're moving. If there's a corner, a trash bin, an alley, a car, look around it before you pass it. Seeing them before they see you and making sure they know it by holding eye contact briefly will diffuse many potentially dangerous situations before they begin. If you wander around obliviously, you'll never see them coming. Story 15. I got away from a scammer by insisting I was going to make a mess if I don't find a bathroom right now. The thought of seeing my diarrhea-soaked pants scared him enough to run away. He thought I was a tourist because I made the mistake of looking around. I was genuinely looking for a place where the bathroom would be easy to get to, and he just appeared. We talk so much on this channel about poop crimes and people pooping where they shouldn't. But for once, we have the poop that helps stop a crime, the poop defense. Folks, if you're gonna get mugged, just start going like, "Ooh, diarrhea! Ooh, no! Oh, it's so much!" I can't. Story 16. Depending on the situation, you can act straight up insane. It works well. You can practice certain looks in the mirror, preferably alone, LOL. Also, tilting your head works to really sell it along with the right way of talking. I've never actually had to use any of this in real life, but I've learned a lot of this online, so take this with a grain of salt. Story 17. I'm a woman, and when I'm walking home alone at night, I always wear a trench coat, even in summer, and walk like I'm going somewhere important. I also carry my metal water bottle in my hand. Also, if someone's following me, I start laughing and talking to myself. Works every single time. Although it might not work for everyone because I'm 5'10" and well built for a woman. Story 18. I've learned from my grandpa that if pickpockets are high in the area and have something worthless sticking out of it, then if a thief tries to pickpocket you, they walk away with a map of Italy and you walk away with your wallet. Also make sure to map your exits and always know where the closest one is. Story 19. A buddy of mine withdrew $8,000 in cash from the bank years ago to buy a car. The teller literally started counting it out on the counter in front of him. He very quickly asked her if she could do this in a back room or something, which she did, and then handed it to him in a discreet envelope. "What's that, sir? Withdrawing $8,000, you say? $8,000 in cash, right in your pocket. Why, oh, what a large amount of money you shall be carrying on you. I imagine it'll be spilling out of your pockets. You'll have to be so very careful with this $8,000. Story 20. Once a friend told me he saw me walking through the supermarket parking lot with my head up, shoulders back, looking straight ahead. He cautioned me against this. I told him that's exactly how you should walk in public to avoid being a target. He then said, "Bad drivers don't target anyone. The confidence rule doesn't apply when crossing the street or parking lot." Good advice. Story 21. If you feel something is off in a situation, they're asking for help with directions, want you to look at something, etc., don't be afraid to be rude. This is the first rule the hosts of this podcast called Crime Junkie said. Be rude, stay alive. Story 22. A few years ago, my dad had some problems with his car on the way to another city. He said that a random dude came to him begging for some cash. Now, if my dad wasn't so angry, he would have probably given him some money, but at that moment he threatened the dude, saying that he will crack his head open with the gas pump if he didn't leave. The next day, that dude was on the news for stabbing 2 girls and a policeman not too far from where he asked my dad for money. Story 23. If you are getting concerned or chased by people who are up to no good, street gang, etc., don't rely on shouting for people to call the cops and expect it to help you in any way. 9 out of 10 people will not call the cops before it's too late, nor will they try to help you out. Focus on getting out of the situation. Try to run into a crowd so more people would have to be involved, as this will trigger their instinct to react quickly instead of waiting and trying to assess the situation from afar. Story 24. I'm watching this, and one thing I learned the hard way, pay attention to the shoes of people trying to talk to you. No one wants to worry about their shoes falling off when doing anything robbery. Gotta run to get away, run in flip-flops and easy as poorly tied running shoes, and if you're in prison and you hear a dude is about to tie up his shoes and come see you, you're about to be in a fight. Tie up your shoes, too, ASAP. As someone who mostly wears sandals throughout the spring, summer, and part of fall, I'm starting to feel a little bit concerned about my footwear. But they're really good sandals. They're like flip-flops, but they got an extra band to hold them. I think I could get a pretty good run going on. I hope. Story 25. Once got into an altercation with a dude in the hood. He was talking about being about that life and all. I stayed silent the entire time and openly started reaching to my hip, and he started backing away, still talking crap. Always act like you're armed even if you aren't. Chances are, if they think you have a gun, they'll leave you alone. Don't do it if you believe they have one, though, because they could pull a fastest hand in the West on you and call your bluff. Story 26. Keep your head on a swivel, not constantly, but at least every half block. If you're traveling and you see the same person on 2 different streets, keep an eye on them. You're likely being targeted by a pickpocket. The person who said look angry is right. Scowl and don't look directly at someone's face. Look above or below, and no one wants to question your bad day. Story 27. If you're going to take a nap in an airport, step through one of the loops on your backpack. If anyone picks it up and walks away, it will pull your leg and wake you up. Also, put all your zippers lined up the same way every time. That way you know if someone went through your bag or if you simply misplaced something. Story 28. One rule of thumb in fighting is that crazy can often overcome skills in numbers, because while a trained fighter might actually enjoy going up against another trained fighter, no one really wants to wrestle with crazy. Crazy doesn't know when it's winning, and crazy doesn't know when to stop. I actually had a friend who said that his strategy, if ever he was going to, someone wanted to get into a fight with him or mug him or something like that, he's like, oh, my strategy's easy. I would start acting absolutely crazy while stripping. I'd just be like, oh my God, it's time to go. Oh, I'm going to get you. I'm going to touch you so much. Touch your peepee. Oh God, get over here. Your peepee came into me. Like that I'm trying to do as as legitimate of an impersonation of what he said he would do as I can. And I got to admit, if I was going up to someone like, I'm going to fight this person, and they started doing that, I would at the very least think twice. Story 29. If you're in the hood and a young lady approaches you to say how cute you are and ask if you want to go somewhere, it's a trap. She's going to lure you out of sight over to where her boyfriend is waiting with his friends. Story 30. Always listen to your gut. Always. If you get a bad feeling about someone, don't ignore it. Even if it's nothing and you feel silly/bad about it later, it's better than getting robbed or worse. Story 31. The number one rule that my self-defense teacher drove into our heads was that you engage in a fight as minimally as possible. You run away at the first opportunity. You win if you walk away alive and as unharmed as possible. Story 32. Stay in shape. Don't flaunt your status. Don't wear or drive your money. Don't talk to beggars or whiners. Stay confident. Walk smoothly. Eyes forward. Head straight. Be polite. Be efficient. Have a plan to kill everyone you meet. Story 33. My mom worked as a social worker and at juvenile hall and was taught to always look at the first 3 exits you see in case they try and harm you, and she passed this advice to me. Story 34. Be aware that anyone could be a thief. My dad told me a story about how he got robbed in Russia by a group of children. They overwhelmed him and took his stuff. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.